Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to discuss something that can maybe feel pretty straightforward, but for others maybe it can feel somewhat anxiety inducing. And that topic is what to give up for Lent. Now, this is a question that many Christians and Catholics especially ask themselves every year when Lent comes around. We know already that Lent is a time of penance or a time for some kind of sacrifice. Predominantly, this means in the areas of prayer, fasting, and almsgiving. Now, when it comes to the areas of prayer and almsgiving, there are many examples, and at that, many biblical ones. And that's not to exclude fasting examples. There are plenty in the Bible as well. But I want to give a few tips or suggestions for how to know what would be a good thing to give up for this Lent. So, the historical practice of fasting, prayer, almsgiving in Lent has happened in the Christian church for a long time. It's been since, basically since Jesus was risen from the dead, and Christians knew that we should have times of sacrifice. Now, what this can mean today is for the 40 days of Lent, which originates from uniting our suffering with the 40 days of suffering of Jesus in the wilderness, that we are physically or somehow earthly suffering to grow in our spiritual faith and our spiritual relationship with Jesus. It is not a pointless or meaningless sort of fasting. At the surface level, fasting can and does mean to fast from food, and that's a great thing. Uh, Jesus literally fasted from food and water for 40 days, and there's other Catholic Christian historical examples of people fasting throughout history for spiritual intentions and spiritual purposes. However, you don't simply fast from, or most people don't simply fast from food and water during Lent, because sometimes our greatest temptation to distract ourselves from worshiping God are often from not food and water, but can very often be things such as social media. It can be things like reading. For some people, it can be people. It can be other people. You can be so distracted or obsessed maybe with celebrity dramas or something, and you just always investigate the latest drama on your favorite celebrity. And some of these things aren't bad in themselves. And really, as you probably already know, it's not really fasting, especially fasting in Lent. If you give up something, that's a sin that you already shouldn't be doing. And why is that? Well, quite simply, because you already shouldn't be doing it. The fast part should really be a sacrifice. So, when we are looking at what we ourselves should give up for Lent, we should take some time to really reflect, hopefully before Lent. Maybe not too much time, but a sufficient amount, maybe a day, maybe the Monday before, because we know we're going to be celebrating on Fat Tuesday on Mardi Gras, and to really just look into ourselves, look into our souls, and ask ourselves, what is it that might be most distracting me from a relationship with Jesus today? For some people, as I already mentioned, that might be social media, that might be other people, and all sorts of different things. So let's let's tune into what God is talking to us about. Let's tune into what we hear when we pray, and what we hear in the Bible, what we hear at church. And I just wanted to provide some examples. If you find that you are done with school or work and you simply go on your phone and you scroll on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube for 4 hours, and then you go to bed and you didn't pray at all in the day, that can be really detrimental to a growth in your spiritual life. So if you're sitting there and you're thinking that is you, my suggestion would be to maybe, even if you can't go cold turkey on social media for Lent, to cut out maybe 5 minutes. You can start really easy if it's a struggle for you. Cut out 5 minutes and then intentionally fill the time that you cut out with added prayer, with added relationship with God. Now, a second example might be if you are really attached to books. As you can see behind me, I have a bookshelf. Uh, Maybe you don't read fantasy books for Lent, and instead you read spiritual writings. And that is a way of sacrifice if you really enjoy fantasy writing. Now, again, it's not that these things are bad in themselves, but it is a way to fast in order to grow closer to God. So I just made this video to encourage you to really reflect on what would be good for you for the next 40 days to give up for Lent so that you can grow closer to God. And if you have any questions or thoughts, concerns, please let me know in the comments. Also, please like this video and subscribe. It really helps to encourage me to continue to make more awesome content. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, God bless. Peace.